and welcome to Books in Action. This is Larry Pettracaro with my co-host, Melissa Kopecky. And we're lucky to have with us Robert Lasner, who is the founder, the organizer of the officially titled Maplewood South Orange Book Festival, but which we locally know as the MAPSO Bookfest, or Book Festival as the case may be. So we have Robert with us today, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Book Festival, which is going to be a little bit different this year. And Melissa will try to keep me on track, and she'll have the more pertinent questions, I'm sure, but we'll manage somehow. So maybe, Robert, we'll just a quick start with how many is this? So is this like the second, the third, the 476th or something?
It's about more than one and less than 476. It's actually fourth year. So it feels like a lot of time is, because it's been over about 16 months since our last one, because it was June of 2019 we did the third, and then now we're here in September doing the fourth. But it's the fourth annual.
Okay. And you got started on this 4 years ago. Was it some kind of inspiration, or did you carry this over from some previous activity that you had been doing?
Well, me and my family, we moved to South Orange in 2015. So, and I work in publishing. I run my own publishing company. My wife works in publishing as well. So, we have a publishing background. So over the years, we've attended many book festivals as both participants and presenters and all that kind of stuff. So ironically, when I moved here, about a couple of weeks after we moved here, a couple of months, we actually went to Play Day in South Orange. We have two young boys, so we took them to Play Day. And I was just walking around, and for some reason, probably because of my publishing head, I said, this would be a really nice setup for a book festival. Just kind of like thinking, not thinking about doing a book festival. And then, so the kind of idea, that's how the idea first got into my head. And then I kind of looked up, is there a book festival in Maplewood or South Orange? Figuring, of course, there must be, because it's such a literary town right outside of New York. And there was nothing. There was nothing at all. The closest one, I think Morristown had just started up or was just starting up that year. So I was like, there's no book festival here. So I'm one of those, fortunate or unfortunate people who gets an idea, and no matter how crazy or as it might be, I just kind of I feel weird having an idea, not trying to do it. So I tried to do it, and took a couple of years of preparation and meetings. And then in 2017, we were able to launch. I got both towns involved. So it became the Maplewood South Orange Book Festival.
Nice. Well, I imagine the previous ones were a lot more traditional, where you could autograph a book and so forth. But this year is going to be a little bit different. Maybe you could give us an idea about that.
Oh, it's going to be, yes. Of all the things, you do a lot to organize a book festival, but at no point did we have you're in charge of the pandemic plan, because you never know. Every 100 years we have one, so we could have one in the middle of our book festival. So obviously, this year was and we were originally scheduled for June of this year. And, we booked a good lineup, and then the pandemic, I guess, hit in March. So at first we thought, we might still be okay for June, because, at the beginning, nobody knew how long it would last, and, they kept saying, maybe in 2 weeks we'll reevaluate school, then in 2 more weeks. So I said, well, we're in June, so maybe we'll be okay. Maybe by June things will be back to normal. Obviously in June things weren't back to normal. So then we moved it virtually. We moved it actually in person till late September. So we moved it till the coming 2 weeks from now. And then and I waited for a while, and then by about July, I was like, we're not doing it. No, and I looked at other festivals, both locally and around the country, and nobody was doing in person. So I was like, we can't do in person. I debated long and hard about doing anything virtual. I mean, some book, like Morristown, for example, completely canceled it this year. They didn't do it at all. Where Montclair, which is another book festival, in the area, they're doing it virtually. So I debated whether, do people want to go to a virtual book festival? Because you can't meet the authors, and a lot of it is meeting the authors, whether it be kids authors and getting them to, sign the books and draw some pictures, or adult authors where you get to actually, meet some of the bigger authors. I debated for a while whether it was even worth doing it this year. And then I saw that other people were doing it. the thing that's really interesting about a virtual book festival is you can get almost more authors because you're not restricted by geography. Because normally, since we don't pay for things like travel, we get people who are local, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, for the most part, unless an author happens to be on tour and is passing through. So I was like, wow, well, we're less restricted. And then I also found that people were doing, everybody in the world had adjusted to doing things online. And then I also realized a lot of these authors who would be going on big book tours were suddenly doing this. They were sitting in their house, and this was their book tour. So a lot of people, I think, were happy to be like, yeah, that'll kill 2 hours of my time. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and let's do it virtually, and see how it goes. And hopefully we never have to do it virtually again, unless it's the greatest model ever, and then we'll never be in person again.
Well, you raised something interesting. And that was one of the questions I was wondering about, whether or not the unfortunate aspect of having to rearrange everything because you couldn't have people together actually wound up with some beneficial effects. And it sounds like it may have. Maybe you could expand on that a little bit. Are some of the people that are going to be coming from further away now, or?
Well, we pretty much got back almost all the authors that we had booked originally. So, and that was easy because they've already committed, so they were willing to recommit thing. But even right now, we have a lineup, set right now, but there's a few other people I'm going after that are not local, and I'm not restricted by where they live or where they are. Sometimes you would get an author at a book festival, I'm really interested in doing it, but I'm going to be away that weekend. And of course, we've got some of that too. We've got people like, I'm actually not going to be near my computer that weekend. So people even virtually, they're not all, sitting at attention. So yeah, there's authors I've been able to go after, that I never would even consider because I'm like, well, they live in California. We're not going to get them. They live wherever. But now I've been going after people because I said we have our lineup, but I've been going after more people who are not necessarily local. But I would say 90% of the people we have are people who were originally going to do it, who have confirmed and, were originally confirmed and are going to come back.
Now you have a time zone problem.
I'm actually going to jump in, and your schedule has changed too, because it usually kicked off on a Friday evening and then went Saturday and Sunday, correct? And now you're doing it over a longer period of time?
Yeah, that was a debate whether or not to do it also, because normally the book festival, we usually have a Friday night opening speaker, and as Melissa knows, the proceeds of that event go half to the South Orange Library and half to the Maplewood Library, so that's always a highlight. And then Saturdays when we do the regular book festival, the regular book festival day. So with the model being different this year, I was like, at first I was like, do we just do the same model? But I was like, I know myself, I would not want to sit on a screen for 8 hours and watch a book festival. That's not happening. Plus the fact it's so different because the interaction is so different. So I decided to, and some book festivals are doing that. They just are doing a normal 2-3 days like what they would. And a lot of other ones are doing a model where they're spreading it out. So they're spreading. So our book festival events are actually spread out. We're actually beginning on September 25th, which would have been the normal starting day. And then we're actually going to do events currently up till October 24th. So about a month of events, and we might have 1 or 2 added the final month in October. So basically it's going to start the 25th of September and run through the month of October with events, some on Saturday, some during the week. Because I actually did a survey of what times were best for people, and I got all over the place. There was no 100, do it during the day, do it at night, do it Sunday. So I was like, this is not going to be, so I'll just do it and we'll see what works for people and what doesn't work for people. But yeah, it's a month of books now.
A month of books.
But not every moment of the month. There'll be breaks.
This is probably a good place to put in, since you talked about this whole wonderful spread of events, to tell people how they can get the schedule of events.
Okay, well, the schedule, we're actually going to put, and the way we're going to do it is going to be different this year. So another big issue was how do we sell tickets? Because normally we would sell tickets, for the Friday night event. Like last year we had Eve Ensler, and normally what we would do is we would just sell a ticket. You get a book included. She does a talk, the author does a talk, and you get to meet and greet them and sign their books and get a signed book. Obviously, that's not happening this year. And a big issue also this year in terms of charging was sponsorship. I mean, we had gotten some of our sponsor money by March, but once people obviously shut down, nobody was giving you, people who are shut down, you can't get money from them. We raised a ton of money from local businesses, and obviously I'm not going to go to some business that's not, struggling. Oh, by the way, can you give me a check? So a lot of it this year was, instead of relying, which we kind of rely almost, except for the Friday night event, usually our events are free. So this year we couldn't, if we did everything for free, there's no money. There would not be enough money. So we had to figure out how we were going to charge. So we decided to charge a small amount for each event, and you can still buy the book. So you can buy a book that will be a regular ticket price, or you can just buy a few dollars and you can just get access to the event. So we had to decide how to do that. So we're going to put tickets on sale. I'm hoping tomorrow we're going to start putting tickets on sale, Monday at the latest. And we have this really great lineup, which after the break, because we're going to go on a break soon, after the break I can actually share the lineup. But yes, but right now the lineup's available. The probably best place is to go to our social media, go to the Maplewood South Orange Book Festival Facebook page, and it's pinned to the top now. So you'll see all the events we have now too. But we'll send out an email. It's also on our homepage, mapsobookfestival.org. But I'm going to update it with like actual, ticket information in the next 24 hours, I hope.
That'll be good. So we just need to get it publicized so that people know that they can take advantage of this. That was a good question, Melissa. I always miss those things, but I don't think we're going to miss the break. I think we better take a break for a minute and then we'll be back. So if you'll stay with us, we'll be back in a minute.
It's an onion.
And welcome back. This is Larry Pettracaro with my co-host Melissa Kopecky, and we have Robert Lasner with us. Robert is the founder and organizer of the MAPSO Bookfest, or the Maplewood South Orange Book Festival, if you want to be more formal. And we've been talking about what's going to be a little bit different this year. So let me turn it back over to Robert. And Melissa, you had wanted to know, I think, about the timing on this. And I guess, Robert, you mentioned that it's going to be extended from the 25th of September to the 24th of October, or maybe even a little bit longer. And now we wanted to talk a little bit about who is going to be there.
Okay, and I had the list up on my phone because I'm the kind of person who books everybody and really remembers, I got that person in there, because he gets crazy. So the book festival will be launching on Friday night, September 25th, which was the original launch date of, we're going to do it in person, and we're going to be launching with an event with Paul Krugman, and he's going to be in conversation with Jonathan Alter. Everybody knows Paul is the columnist for the New York Times. He had a book come out earlier this year called Arguing with Zombies. So Paul was always going to be our Friday night, like when we have the library benefit, Paul was going to be our library benefit speaker, and so Paul is going to come back and do this event at the same time that he would have. So he's a reconfirmee, so we're very happy to have him. I would have liked to meet him, but I guess I'll just have to meet him this way. Hey, how you doing? So we're going to start off with him. So that'll be Friday night, September 25th at 7:30, in conversation with Jonathan Alter. The following day, Saturday, September 26th, which would have been the normal book festival, would have been the book festival in-person day. In the morning, we're going to have a series of kids events. So we're going to have several kids authors who will do, because you can meet and greet them, they'll do demonstrations of how they do a book, how they, whatever. They're all coming up with original things. Some are doing readings, some are doing art stuff. So it's, be interesting and creative, and hopefully it's something that parents can stick their kids in front of for a couple of hours and hopefully take a break. As I have 2 kids, so I know I need breaks a lot. So that same day at 5 o'clock, we're actually going to have the famous cookbook and food author Ruth Reichel is going to be with us. So Ruth will be at 5 o'clock on Saturday, the September 26th. Thursday, October 1st at 7:30, we're going to have the author Cullen McCann will be with us, and he'll be in conversation with Lee Haber, books editor at O Magazine, and Lee also lives locally in Maplewood. Saturday, October 3rd, we're going to have a local author, Abby Scher, the this year's winner of the Maplewood, the Ideas Festival. She was the Maplewood Literary Award this year. So Abby's going to be in conversation with Paolo Mendoza, her co-author of her new book, Sanctuary. On October 7th, we're going to have author of A Good Marriage, Kimberly McCrate, and she'll be in conversation with Julia Fierro. Saturday, October 10th, we're going to have Christina Baker Klein, and Christina will be talking about her new book, Exiles. And she's going to be in conversation with Richard Russo, so we're very happy to have the two of them. That'll be a really great one together. And Richard's a good example. Richard lives in Maine, so we never would have gotten him as in conversation if the book festival had been in person. Wednesday, October 14th, Amity Cage, author of the book is Sea Wife. Saturday, October 17th, Mary Beth Kane. And then Thursday, October 22nd, we have author Jesse Wegman, who's on the New York Times editorial board, and he's an author of the book Let's Pick the President, about, Let the People Pick the President, about how basically the Electoral College should be abolished. And he writes, he had a column yesterday about the Electoral College in the Times, and so he'll be on the 22nd. And then on October 24th, Saturday, we will have a second Kids Day. So we're going to have one on the 26th, and we'll bookend it, and then we'll have a second Kids Day on the 24th, and we might have one or two more events, nothing confirmed yet, the following week. But nothing on Halloween, so don't worry about it.
Well, wouldn't Halloween be a perfect time for Stephen King or somebody like that?
I guess. Hopefully kids are not stuck on Halloween watching a virtual. As much as I love book festival, hopefully kids are not stuck on Halloween watching a virtual book festival on their screens. That would be a truly sad commentary.
Can I just ask you a few of the children's people who will be presenting?
Yeah,
we're children's authors or illustrators or.
Yeah, we have a few. The children's authors have been because they've been doing videos. So as they come in, I know we got Ismay Williams is doing an event. She just did her video. Tracy West is going to be with us. I believe Barry Liga and Morgan Baden, who are local and were supposed to be part of the festival originally, I know they're doing something. So the kids authors, we're probably only, we usually book about 40 kids authors, but we're probably only going to wind up with about 10, not because people are not willing, it's just that I don't want to, if you have 4 or 5 authors doing 15, 20 minutes each, I think that's about as much as, 2 hours or so is about as much as anybody can really stand sitting in front of the screen. So, and if we get more of it, we could add a third Kids Day or even a fourth Kids Day. So so I might add Kids Days along. And so this is what happens with the book festival. Normally when you do it in person, it's set in stone like months before. Now it's like, yeah, we might add this person, we might add this person. And so because it's very like spur, it's still very much flying by the seat of your pants, I guess, or whatever. So yeah, we have a couple of kids authors confirmed. And I don't want to give dates yet because some people are trying to get videos for their first September 26th event, and some are trying to get videos for the October 24th event. So, but I know Ismay and Tracy have definitely confirmed and done videos, and I said I know Barry's working on something. So, yeah. So we'll announce all that.
Well, with the event you're doing with the kids, this sounds like it's almost a bit more of a challenge for you than perhaps, having an interview with Paul Krugman, for example. But are you, does this also give you an opportunity to make some adjustments if you suddenly found something, maybe learning how to draw or something made more, really resonated? Would you be able to, to adjust and perhaps add that at the end?
Yeah, what's interesting about doing it virtually, we really aren't limited by, a date or time. So, not that I want to continue this, it's like a level of life. Like 6 months of books would be a little, I'll be laying here in full of blood. But yeah, potentially if we see something that really works, I might do events, occasionally I could do events once a month in the winter. We could do a November, Kids Day, a December Kids Day. If people are interested and we see something really works, we could kind of do this, keep it going. And that is the interesting and kind of exciting thing about virtual stuff. You're not limited, by space and time anymore. So you can do things like whenever you want. And that was always one of my original visions for the book festival, was to have, the book festival, the days, the main weekend, but maybe have events popping up throughout the year. And it just became, that became difficult because you have to book space, and logistically it became harder. But if all the space you need is online and you can just get an author, so yes, potentially if we find some things that work, we might push things, into the winter, just, hey, have a kids' day once a month or something. But at this point, I'm just trying to get through everything. My hope is that, people don't, my fear is that people are going to log on and they're going to get a blank screen or no sound or no picture. So I'm just trying to get through without disaster, because obviously I've never done anything like this. It wasn't something I planned to do. I remember on Zoom, a lot back in March and being like, I hate that. I mean, I'm used to this now, but at first it was very strange to even look at the camera. I was always looking at the wall. I would look at things. I'm looking up here, I'm looking there. So yeah, I think people are more comfortable now because they've been doing it for a few months. So I just want to get through the book festival. I always used to joke with the in-person book festival that my goal was just to get through without like a tent falling on top of someone or an injury. And now my goal is just to have everything run smoothly, have no IT problems, and just get through it. And if we get through the month, I'll be happy, and then I'll see about okay. And after a month, I might be like, see you next year. We'll see.
Sounds like civilizational progress. Instead of worrying about getting hit with a tent pole, we worry about getting hit with an internet outage.
Yeah, yes.
You talked there earlier about interaction. How will it's going to be more of a problem with the kids, maybe not exactly interaction, but more demonstration. But with the adults, you said that you're going to try to have some way of having interaction between the public and the authors. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So all the adult events will be you'll have it'll be chat. So you have an opportunity to actually ask Paul Krugman a question. It's actually Krugman. I always said it, Paul. Hopefully he's not watching, but I always said Paul Krugman, but it actually is Paul Krugman. And that's one thing. Yeah, I actually watched the video with him, and it's actually his name is Krugman, which makes sense because Krug is Krug, so it makes sense that it's Krugman. I always said Krugman. I mean, I'm that's one thing with a book festival. When you're introducing the authors, always say their names correctly. If there's one thing you do at a book festival correctly, get the names right. Or book a lot of people named Smith and Jones, and then you'll be. But a lot of times you have to ask them, I want to make sure I get your name right. So I have to make sure it's Paul Krugman. Paul Krugman, let's see. But with him and all the other authors, you'll have a chance to ask questions. So you can find a chat function. You'll have a chance to ask questions, and it'll be just this person has a question about this, that person. So we'll try to do it very similar to the format we do in person, which usually is, 20 to 30 minutes of in conversation with the author, and then 20, 30 minutes of, and I guess questions we can go as long as, as long as people want, as long as the author can take it. So that'll be the format for all the adult events. The kids events, we're going to pre-record, okay, because it's just very difficult. They don't need the same kind of interaction. I said, a little kid's not going to be asking a question. So it'll be much more of a demonstration of where it'll kind of be like what school was like for all the kids last spring, where they just got to watch recorded things. So each one of the kids' authors will be doing something differently. So I've left it up to them, what do you want to do? And most of them have been doing this a lot. So they all have I've been doing this, or Tracy West, I was emailing her this morning, and she has a couple, she's I did this and it really worked. So I'm just whatever I'm letting the authors have complete freedom, because I honestly don't know what's going to work. And, and some authors have very, great personalities, which really, come through the screen. And some authors, are not going to have a stronger personality. So some authors may want to do different things. Some are probably, I imagine a lot of it will have, showing how they draw things and how, especially if they, do the art for their books, how they do that kind of stuff. Or some authors, I said, I know we'll just probably read some of their books. So it'll be, a variety of different.
Well, with the virtual ones that I'm sorry, Melissa, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ask your question. I get to go next.
Oh, okay. I was curious to know will the pre-recorded ones for the children, will they be made available on YouTube or something so that parents can go back and get them?
Yes, all the kids events will be free. So they'll be free of charge. So they'll be live, we'll show them, but we'll put them up on YouTube so people can watch them whenever they want. So the kids event, if you miss it and when it happens, in the morning, you can watch it 3 days later. So yes, all those events will go live.
So my thing was that I want to talk to you again when this is done, because I think you're going through exactly what so many businesses, and certainly I know libraries and everyone is, as we switch to virtual things, and what we learn and how we use the platform, and what worked and what didn't. I think that would be a really interesting conversation, just sort of about the back end of it, because what I hear from a lot of people, there those advantages that are in virtual, they don't want to lose those. They want to go back to being able to incorporate the in-person component, but to also keep the good part about the virtual. So I want to talk to you after the fact and see, because a lot of people are going through this process of what's going to work, how do we have to do it differently, and then assessing at the end would be interesting. But my specific question about virtual versus real is, you said people can buy books, and I know we're getting a little short on time, but how is that going to work virtually?
Now, we don't expect the same amount of book. I mean, normally if you're going to like a Paul Krugman event, you pay $30 and you get the book, and you have those whatever hundreds, if 100 people come. What we're going to do is we're going to be selling the book. So you'll be basically for the adult events, you'll be able to either pay a small fee, $5 or $10, again, just to cover our expenses, $5 or $10 to give the option to join the event, to just watch the event. We hope also you also have the opportunity to buy, say for Paul Krugman, you can buy a ticket for $30 and you'll get an autographed copy of the book mailed to you later on. So we don't expect as many people. I'm hoping also to do something where if we can sell, I'll plug it right now, if people go into the events and we sell a lot of the books tickets, I will give something to the libraries, because then I'll be like, so I was hoping to kind of do that, not just for one event, but maybe have every event to say, hey, if we can make money, we can, even if it's just and I can say, hey, library budgets are going to definitely be hit, they haven't been hit and everything. So more than ever, it's important to support the library this year. So hopefully, and again, I have no idea how the money is going to work. In the past, I did, because I did it for a few years. I kind of had a basic understanding. Now it's like, I don't know how it's going to work. But if you do buy an expensive ticket, you'll be supporting your local libraries and making Melissa and Sarah very happy.
Well, that's great. Robert, I think we're out of time. Maybe the library budget is unknown, but the time budget isn't. So I think we're going to have to call it a day or whatever we want to call it. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Good luck. I'm looking forward. I always like Paul Krugman in the newspaper, so I'll have to make sure I catch that. So thank you. And thank you for joining us on Books in Action.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Bye now.
Thank you.